From the AM/FM 24/7 radio network, broadcasting from AM and FM stations around the country. Welcome to the Small Business Administration award-winning School for Startups Radio, where we talk all things small business and entrepreneurship. Now, here is your host, the guy that believes anyone can be a successful entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship is not about creativity, risk, or passion, Jim Beach.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of School for Startups Radio. It is Friday, May 2nd, and I have an amazing show for you today. Can you believe that it's May already? Basically summer. It feels like it sure is hot here in the South already. But most importantly, we are 4/12 of the year done, right? Now it's May the 5th month. Are you appropriately done with your to-do list? Are you making progress in getting things done and knocked off? I'm going to hold you accountable. I have a fantastic show for you today. Ed Walsh from IBM is with us to talk about the cloud and how AI should be integrating into the cloud. It's a very educational conversation. Derek Ting is up next. He is an amazing story, 20 years building a company called TextNow, totally free telephone. It's an amazing story. And then Marie Davis to talk about ESOPs. It's a busy show. Let's go. You know, as we implement all of the new technologies, sometimes it just gets more and more confusing, especially as we try to figure out AI now, and I'm still trying to figure out the cloud. We have someone who's going to help us, please. Ed Walsh is with us. He is the senior managing consultant of hybrid cloud transformation at IBM. You don't get any more impressive than that. He's going to help us figure out how to integrate the AI with the cloud and how hopefully that'll make AI more understandable. Ed, welcome. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
All right. So briefly tell us about what you do and what your function is with AI.
Well, part of my job is just to help to navigate the complexities for businesses as they begin to adopt and scale AI. And what we're finding is organizations are still struggling to adopt AI. And so we work with them in order to plan a roadmap on how they can be most successful to implement AI that has the most value to their business.
So I have a business, and when they come to me and say, we should have AI, I think the hard part is, I don't know what should be AI? How do we figure out where AI will be useful?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I get that question a lot, actually, because businesses have a lot of priorities, and what do they focus on that will make the most impact? We really take a step back and understand what objectives are you trying to drive. Is it speed to market? Is it productivity within your business? Is it new business models or expanding to different markets? And that really sets the foundation for us to then focus on what are the technical capabilities that you need to develop to be most successful. And we help to then put that into a roadmap for them to help to follow a path that brings the most value across every area of investment that they do, really to maximize their returns and use technology as a differentiator. And what we're finding is cloud is really the cornerstone to help them to effectively adopt and scale AI.
How? All right. So what's the next sentence there? Why does the cloud make AI easier?
Well, I mean, to start with some statistics, we're finding that organizations that are really using cloud and AI together are seeing a 3.3x return compared to ones that are adopting silos or just beginning on their journey. And for those really truly harnessing AI, we're seeing a 23x times greater ROI. And why is because as AI needs a lot of technical capabilities, cloud provides those options for them. So for example, cloud is providing flexible and cost-friendly storage options for these massive data sets that AI needs. It provides these on-demand capabilities to quickly scale up or down these really energy-intensive workflows. And it really provides the scale necessary for global deployment and to leverage your models anywhere, which a lot of the organizations we work with spread across the world, this provides them the best-in-class infrastructure at their fingertips to scale these workloads. And so when you put this together, we really see the symbiotic relationship between cloud and AI that is helping businesses actually take these pilots and concepts to production to really implement within their organization.
What is hybrid and hybrid by default? What does the word hybrid mean here in this situation?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and sometimes it can mean a lot of things for different people. But ultimately, what it comes down to, hybrid multi-cloud is the concept of harnessing on-premise estates, public clouds, private clouds, SaaS, edge environments, all together for what means most to your business. And it's really having access to all of what the market has for the latest technologies and using it for the means that brings the best to your business. And when we see organizations have adopted cloud over time, and in what was before the generative AI revolution, the cloud revolution, they had constraints on budget, on time, on resources. So they really adopted cloud in piecemeal and adopting these technologies in pods, which we saw silos and fragmentations. It led to increased costs, talent issues, scale issues. And so we really see this approach to a cloud adoption as hybrid by default, adopting these technologies in pockets, where when we saw organizations successful in adopting cloud their technology, they were more business-centric, holistic in their approach, and provided consistency and intentionality across their clouds, leverage the market, what the market has for technology at their fingertips with easily manageable platforms that they could scale. And that did it right with what we call a hybrid by design strategy as opposed to a hybrid by default strategy are now in a good position to start to leverage AI and future technologies to come. They've become more nimble and able to adopt technologies for the purposes of their business.
All right, that makes sense. And so are there some patterns of success that we see in the hybrid by design strategies? Does it leave footprints?
Yeah, I think, we've studied the organizations that were successful with this by design approach, and really a couple key patterns emerged. The first is that they took a more business-centric and product-centric approach. So technology has evolved from just being a supporting platform and back office function for businesses to really a differentiator for the business. So a shift in this operating model was really required. And when we saw the business and IT had better alignment and really positioning the products and services those business serve at the forefront of every technology conversation, we saw more success. And they developed an operating model to really foster product and service innovation for the business. That's really the first pattern we saw. The second is around intentionality and consistency. Really making architectural choices that were intentional, aligned to those products and services for their end user, which was important. But then driving consistency, where we like to say consistency makes sense, to use platforms and reusable components of their technology landscape to meet the business needs quicker and faster. The third is we saw really organizations that just adopted technology failed, but what they needed to do was really upskill their talent and change their processes. So it's all about people, process, and technology, and just adopting technology will only be one piece of the puzzle, but really upskilling your talent and finding ways where technology is actually impacting processes to simplify and to streamline those processes, help to bring productivity to the business. And I think the last I'd like to say is really data and AI at the core. It's really harnessing the company's data effectively and scaling AI to bring that innovation to the business.
Ed, I think all of us small business owners, our number one concern is the cost of something. What should I expect to spend to have an AI consultant come in and look at my business and find ways to become more efficient? Can I do that for $50,000?
You can, yes. Actually, we're helping companies develop a strategy of what we call FinOps, or technology business management. And really, when in this AI revolution and in this cloud revolution, you have a trade-off. You now have the option to have best-in-class compute and storage and technology services at your fingertips, but it can get unwieldy very fast. And so what we're helping organizations do is establish practices of what we call financial operations for cloud and technology business management, which is all about cost transparency, cost guardrails, cost management to help to provide some governance around this trade-off. The on-demand services that provide for the most effective cost financial approach to it.
All right, that's what we need. Ed, how do we find out more? Follow online, continue to learn from you.
We'll learn more about this approach and what IBM has to offer to help businesses across the world, small or large, at IBM.com. You can also look for the latest trends in the technology industry with IBM's Institute for Business Value, or feel free to search for me on LinkedIn at Edward Ryan Walsh, and happy to continue the conversation there.
Ed, thank you so very much, and we'd love to have you back. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate your time.
And we will be right back. We are back, and again, thank you so very much for being with us today. Very excited to introduce my first guest. Please welcome Derek Ting to the show. He is the founder and CEO of a nearly 20-year-old company now called Text Now. It is the first U.S. mobile provider to provide truly free phone service with unlimited talk, text, and all of the essential data. It's had some 250 million downloads and is a huge disruptor in the space. I can't wait to hear the story. He started when he was 19 and built a business during high school and college. So impressive. Sold one of them and has raised a couple $1 million in seed funding to get going. And we are now 18 years exactly in or something. What is it, Derek?
Yeah, I kind of lost track of time.
Okay, so I think it's 18 years. Welcome, Derek. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about Text Now.
Yeah, so Text Now is a fully free phone service you download as an app. So you go to the App Store, you can search for Text Now, and you download us for free. And then as soon as you download it, you can get a free phone number. And there's a lot of different ways people use it. They can get a free second phone number. So if you already have a phone number, you get another phone number, you can get a free second phone number. Or if you're just fed up with paying for a phone plan or you can't afford a phone plan, you can download our app and then use our app as your phone plan. So a lot of customers use it that way. And then you can use it as long as the phone has internet or Wi-Fi. And then for $5, you pay for shipping, we'll give you a SIM card, and then you can also use it on the cellular network as well. And yeah, it's fully free. We make money from ads. So in case people are wondering, hey, how is this all free? We make money from ads, and the ads aren't intrusive at all. And a lot of free services, they bait you in there, and then it's not really free. Well, for us, it's free, and it has been free since the beginning of time. So, and we're always figuring out new ways to make the free version better. So we just started off making texting free when we first started the company, and now we have free texting, we have free texting and calling, and now free texting and calling on cellular as well as on Wi-Fi, and also free essential data plan as well that gives you access to email, maps, and transportation apps. And we're looking to expand that as well as time goes on. So that's Text Now in a nutshell.
And what is your penetration? I know you have 250 downloads. Don't tell me anything that you're not allowed to share, but what's the monthly users or anything like that?
We got millions of people using it daily as their main phone number. And that number grows every year. And yeah, we're an incredibly popular app. if you look at us in the App Store, Play Store, we're like in the top charts, most popular apps.
Awesome. Very impressive. Go back in time and tell us the story. How'd you get the idea for this? Did you do the coding yourself? Go back 18 years and tell us the birthing story.
Yeah, it's just started off when I was in college. The iPhone first came out and I didn't have any credit, not a lot of money. And and back then you could only use the iPhone with AT&T, and they charged an arm and a leg for the plan. And I remember if I wanted texting, it was another $20 a month. And I'm like, holy cow, $20 just for texting? There has to be a better way, because I'm already paying for the internet. So why can't I just use my internet to text? So that's kind of how the idea came along. It was just like, I didn't want to pay for texting. So I made an app that let you text it for free using your internet plan. And
how long did it take you to write that app, that version?
A few weeks. I wrote like a prototype that lets you only send messages. You couldn't receive messages. And just to like test out the concept, and then realized it worked, but receiving messages was really important. So it took me another few weeks to build the part where we could receive messages as well. And receiving messages was a lot more work because there was a lot more screens and user interfaces to build, but got it all put together. And what was really fun was that not only I found it valuable, but there was all these other people out there downloading it, using it. And that was really cool. And then what was really interesting was we discovered that a lot of our customers were using it at the time on their iPod Touch. And we're like, that's interesting. How come there's so many iPod Touch users? And that's when we had our aha moment. Like, a lot of people weren't using it to just make texting free. They were using it because they didn't have a phone plan. So then that's where it led us to the bigger idea. Let's not just make texting free. Let's make phone service free, because phone service is just expensive for everyone, and there must be a better way. So that's been the beginning of our journey. It's been our obsession figuring out how can we make phone service free and give people more for free. Everyone else in the world figures out a way to charge people more for less, and we're doing the exact opposite. We're trying to figure out how to give people more for less.
I love it. There's our Twitter moment. We will use that. So after you posted online, how long until you got your first download from someone you didn't know?
Well, it was overnight, actually. Well, I was the first download. And then,
okay, I know. Yeah. And then your friends, and then your mom, and then someone from someone from the other coast. Eventually, someone you didn't know, right? How long was that?
Not that long. The beauty with the App Store was that, and that was the magical thing. You put something out there, and then almost instantly, people can find it. They can download it. They can try it out. And that was really the cool thing about the App Store back then, and still today, is it's really democratizing the ability for anyone with a great idea to make something, put it out there for everyone to be able to discover it and download it. So journey was, I published it, small amount of people discovered it. It didn't take long. Within like the next day, I saw my report, my iTunes report, and I was like, gee, wow, 200 people downloaded this thing. That's cool. I wonder how they found it. And so that was cool. And that got me hooked to keep improving the app and keep delivering more. And also we did a lot of marketing activities.
How did you get the word out?
Yeah. So being college students, we didn't have large marketing budgets. All we had was our blood and sweat and time. So we just went through every every blogger, every app reviewer, and we just emailed them and told them about our app, gave them free promo codes. A lot of them ignored my emails, but a few of them didn't and thought it was cool. And it kind of snowballed from there.
Did you get a big review or a big listing in any of the platforms early on that kind of propelled things?
I would say it wasn't like one big one, but I think there was like a point in time where the app looked cool enough to enough people, and enough people wrote about it, and enough people told more people about it, and then it kind of grew from there. And I would say it took a few months to kind of figure out the right pitch and to get people's attention. But once we got that pitch honed in, there was a lot of interest in this concept of getting something for free that you have to typically pay for.
I would think so. I would think that a lot of people would be covering it and impressed with each new edition. So how many employees does it take now to, overall to help with the coding and stuff? How many employees total?
200.
Wow. And all of those based in California?
We are in US and Canada, and we are in a lot of states.
Okay. What do you mean a lot of states? You have offices, small offices that do something, or just?
Yeah, our team is distributed.
Okay.
So we technically have a headquarters, but we have employees all over the continent.
Virtual.
Yeah, we get together still a lot, but we're distributed. We find great team members everywhere, and we're not tied to a specific location.
Do you sell your ads directly yourself, or do you have a service that does that for you? Is that an internal or an external feature function?
Yeah, we've got a sales team that sells ads, and also we work with a lot of partners that sell them on behalf of us. So all that happens in behind the scenes, and there's a lot of technology too that goes into it. So there's a lot of automation as well to make sure the ad gets served efficiently. And that's how we deliver the free phone service, and the customer just gets to enjoy while all that stuff happens behind the scenes.
Are there any particular industries that advertise the most? Do you have success in one particular or two or three different verticals, industries, anything like that?
We get a lot. We get a huge mix actually, from gaming to like fast food to like movies to like even campaigns for like all sorts of stuff. As long as the ads are safe ads, then they're free to advertise on our platform, and we don't necessarily focus on a specific type of advertiser.
All right. What how early did you raise the money? I think you did about $1.5 million to get started. When did you do that in the cycle? How big were you already?
We were tiny. I mean, we were probably like 10 employees at the time. That was probably our third or fourth year in business. And we hit a little bit of cash crunch, and we had to raise $1.5 million.
All right. What was the cash crunch from? Were you growing too fast?
It was a combination of, back then, we didn't have a ton of experience with business. So part of it was also just, we probably could have managed our money a little better back then. And then also we made some really big investments. So one of the things that we did was we didn't want to just be a free texting app. We wanted to be a free phone service. So we want to give people phone numbers. We want to give people calling as well. So there's a lot of money we had to spend to make that all work. And that's kind of why that year we needed more cash. So.
All right. And then how hard was it for you to raise the money? How long did it take?
Well, interesting story was we were in Canada at the time because we just graduated college. We didn't know much about how raising money worked. We just kind of asked anyone that we thought had money and be like, hey, do you want to invest in our startup? And most people said no, because we're just a couple kids with a big idea. And they're like, yeah, no, we won't. It sounds too risky. And it was, so we tried like all summer that year and without much luck. And then it was kind of serendipity. Like there was this investor that reached out to me because his niece used our app. His niece was an avid user of ours, and he found out about us through his niece and reached out to me and like complimented on what a great idea it was. And then I remembered him, and then I reached out to him and met up with him at a conference. And at that point, I was almost giving up. You know what I mean? Like, and then that came through. That came through, and yeah.
How long did it take talking to him to get him to say yes? Was it an hour, 10 minutes, 2 days, a week?
It was pretty fast. I made a compelling pitch. I told him that he had to act fast to have the opportunity. And he jumped on it.
Because we're going to go bankrupt if you don't act fast.
I didn't say that.
Well, I've been in a very similar situation. I was raising money for a business that was very much bankrupt. And I learned, Derek, that the best way to do it was to get that out as early as possible. And so my pitch became, I'm going to tell you about an investment that even though the company is bankrupt, you're still going to want to invest. And that worked.
Well, if they invest, it will no longer be bankrupt.
That's right. That's right. Yes. And we haven't filed bankruptcy yet, so, but, we're going to in 3 or 4 days, so you better invest fast. So interesting how that always plays out. And so what are you working on now? What's the next big thing now?
We're just like how I alluded to earlier, we're always figuring out new ways to give people more stuff for free. And that's exactly what we're working on every day. That's kind of how our wheels turn, is like, how do we create new ad products that are better for advertisers, and then they want to spend more money in our app. And then when they spend more money in our app, we can give our customers more things for free. And then when we give our customers more things for free, they tell more of our customers, and that's kind of our flywheel. And so right now, we're working on how do we deliver better experiences for our customers, and then also how do we deliver more value to our advertisers. And then specifically also with our data plans, we saw a lot of good early traction with our free data plan. So
you get a card for $5, right?
Yeah. So we're trying to make that free, and and at some point that will be free. And also we're working on eSIM as well. So with eSIM, that will be free. You don't have to pay for a SIM card anymore. And then also we're working on making our free data plan more for free.
Unbelievable. Derek, it's an incredible story, and congratulations. So I guess the next big step will be the IPO. When is that going to happen?
Well, it depends on the macroeconomic situation. I'm sure that's the standard answer. All kidding aside, we just love what we do. We love building products. We love giving our customers more stuff for free. We get a lot of thrill out of it, and the money is kind of a bonus. But our main passion is just building really cool stuff. So when the time comes, it will come. But we're going to stay focused on building cool stuff, and then we'll get a lot of customers, and that's how company will continue to grow.
I love it. I hope you'll come back and share the story as it continues to grow. I interviewed a guy one time and I asked him that question, how far is until the IPO? And he answered the question, and then he called back a day or two later and said, I can't answer that question now. You have to take that one down. And I was like, oh, so you're 90 days out. I know exactly now what's happening. And that was Dollar Shave Club.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
When I first interviewed him.
Yeah.
And I could tell, oh, you're about to be purchased. And I was like, can I buy some stock now? And he's like, too late. Anyway, so give me 91 days notice, Derek, okay?
Yeah, I think in the current environment, anyone who says they know when that's happening probably doesn't know anymore.
Yes, I think the current environment is not inducive to a lot of stuff, and going public or raising money is certainly in that category. So, Derek, thank you so very much. Great stuff, and we hope you'll come back.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much for your time. Really enjoyed the chat, and looking forward to see it when it posts live.
Well, I will share it. And
all right.
We'll be right back. I am back, and again, so appreciative that you are with us. Very excited to introduce my first guest. Please welcome Marie Davis to the show. Very active in all sorts of things here in Atlanta. Most importantly, she is the executive director for the Georgia Center for Employee Ownership, where we can remember the forgotten secret of how businesses can reward their employees. Very active, as I said, in other organizations. She has also been a huge part of mentor.org and a organization called Path to Shine, which is another mentoring organization. Marie, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So excited to be here, Jim.
So Marie and I were playing Who We Both Know game because we both grew up around the same time in the same place. And my house when I was a kid is about 100 feet from her high school. Marie, I don't know if you know, gosh, I'm forgetting one of my friends' names now. But whenever my wife is unavailable due to pregnancy, this is the person I go on dates with. And we went on a date to the zoo gala, you know, the black tie thing at the zoo. And we played Who Knew More People. So it was a competition to see who of us was more connected and who knew more people. You and I would have fun at that game if we were to go to the zoo gala together.
I think we would.
Yes.
Old Buckhead people.
Old Buckhead, that's right. Well, Old Buckhead is gone now. You know, it's kind of dripped away. I went into the White House the other day restaurant, which is the epitome of Old Buckhead for you non-Atlantans. And
yes,
I only recognized like two people. So,
wow. And part of it is their great chef passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, he did. The Greek guy who could make Southern food as good as my parents.
I didn't know he was the chef. I thought he was the owner or something.
Oh, I think he did everything.
Okay.
Could be wrong.
Why do I want my employees to own my business? They're, you know, not as smart as I am, and I know more than they do. So why would I let my employees own my business?
Well, that's sort of a misnomer about what happens with employee ownership. Nothing really changes except the employees learn to have an ownership mindset. So let's just talk about Publix. It's one of the biggest employee-owned company in the country. So when the employees don't vote on anything, they simply reap the benefits of the profit sharing, and I don't mean a profit sharing plan, but the wealth that's generated for Publix because they have great employees. So the reason you would want your employees to own your business is so that you could even be more profitable and take more money home in your pocket, recruit and retain employees, and make everybody richer.
All right. Some great lines there. Walk us through the process and tell us how it actually works, though. Let's go through the logistics.
Okay, it's kind of tough, but let's just talk about Publix because most people have walked in the door. They started out as a family business and don't know what their goals were, don't know anything about it. But let's just say you're walking in the door of Publix and you're looking at, and let's not say all the checkout people because they might not have been there very long. But when an employee joins there, they become part of a team, and they don't vote. As I said, the board is still retained. Let's just say the family members in Publix still are on the board. And so what happens is the board, and they have a trustee the day after they become employee owned, and that trustee votes on behalf of the employees. So all the wealth that, and if you know anything about grocery stores, they have such a really small margin. I think it's 1% to 3%. But here's the kicker. Employees that are employee owned, if they are an S Corp, the percentage that they are employee owned, Publix is 100%, but a lot of family owned businesses may only be 40, 30. They can start out at 10. Whatever percentage they are employee owned, they don't pay federal tax. So even though that Publix has that tiny little margin, they actually have bukus of money because they're not paying federal tax. So if you walk in Publix and you look how people are dressed, how nice the shelves are, how happy people are to help you and how hard they work, it's not because they're running the company. It's because they know every time they save money and don't break anything, turn off the lights, don't waste things, be nice to customers, then they have the ownership mindset, and they're helping that company put more money into their retirement plan and their pockets day to day. Employee-owned companies are notoriously paid better than others. So if you walk into Publix, and I'm not going to call another name, but another grocery store, just look at it with a different eye and say, oh my gosh, these people are happier. We see the same cashier at Publix or same manager. They don't leave, they stay. So the process really is very technical. It's not my expertise, but mainly it was that family ownership in Publix deciding that they wanted to do more. They wanted to love on their employees. They didn't want to pay federal tax. And I think they were founded in Florida, so they weren't paying state tax either. So it's really genius. So it has to start that way. And then let's just say the founder was one person, even though we know it had to be the family. That person, hopefully with the help of a state center, but they probably didn't have one then, searches and finds a banker who knows something about employee ownership. Then they hire a trustee, and then they look at all their numbers and factors, and they would say, Publix is just starting out. We're going to recommend that, and they have a lot of old employees who might retire in a year or so. We're going to start them out at 10 or 20% of employee ownership. And then as they pay off the debt to the founders, then we'll double that, and we'll bring it, continue it until we are 100% employee owned and paying no federal tax.
What percent do you have to have no tax?
It's whatever percentage you have.
Okay,
so if
a company you pay 50% tax, okay.
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
As state by state, of course differs.
Right.
But we're talking about federal tax.
Right.
And, some really smart states, and I hope we get there, Georgia, because it is the number one place to do business for the 11th year, we can get a state upfront tax deferment or tax reduction for companies as an incentive to become employee owned on the front side. So it would encourage more companies to, and make it more palatable for them to become employee owned, because it's not cheap. It does cost money, like anything in business.
So what does the Georgia Center for Employee Ownership do? What is the goal of the organization? How to come about? Tell us the whole history.
Okay, so our parent company is about 8 years old. It's called Employee Ownership Expansion Network. And they were created, really the idea came from the National Center for Employee Ownership, because that's the organization that companies join, that and or the ESOP Association, so they can get continual help with all these issues that come up for any company. Let's just say educating the employees, educating the HR people. So they wanted there to be a nonprofit way to create more employee-owned companies. So they put that idea out there, and Employee Ownership Expansion Network was created. And what they do is they open state centers. So there were already about 10 or 11, like the Colorado Center was created by the governor many years ago. And so it's within the state government. Ohio, theirs is at Kent State, and it's been around forever. So there were already some state centers alive, but EOX has created 14, 15, 16 more. So now there's 26, 27 state centers, and that's what they are doing. So what I do is educate business owners, educate service providers for businesses. Let's just say the SBDC, the SBA, lawyers, CPAs, financial planners that need to know what employee ownership is. Because for some reason, created by Congress back in the 70s, we just kind of forgot about it. So what I do on a daily basis is talk to people, do things like we're doing right now. And it might not be a single business person hears this, but it could be someone who has a client and they're going, they've been talking about wanting to do something like this, and I didn't know where to tell them to go. They come to me because I can, first of all, find out if this is viable. And there's several different kinds of employee ownership. A lot of it depends on the company size, their debt, lots of things. And we can talk them through that, do a mini valuation, not me. We would get my national executive director from EOX on the line. And then they're not paying that upfront fee for a valuation for something that is not right for them. Or it might be. So then we start gathering. Well, the first thing we do is have them talk to people who've been through the process. Let's just say a construction company calls me. So I would put them in touch with an employee-owned company that is in the construction business and in their size. Have them speak with several different founders, owners, current CEOs who have been through the process to really give them an idea of what they're facing and how great it's been and all those different answers. And then at that point, we start looking for service providers. We know we have access to, many of them that do this work. And so we would match them with the ones that we feel that would be good for them. Because, it's like a relationship with your banker used to be, or your librarian or whoever. You need to get to know them. So let them sort of choose their own team, but introduce them to them. And that's when the fun begins, and they can start working on the ESOP, which can happen as short as 6 months, could take years, depends on the company and how they want to do it in their debt structure and age of employees, lots of things. But that's what we do. We don't do any of the work ourselves. We're simply there to help you should you want to explore this option. And the other thing that we do too, Jim, not to take up all your time and burn your ears off, but we have a great strategic plan. I don't like to call it succession planning because business owners don't like that term. They said, I'm not ready to quit. I'm not retirement age. It's the Ohio State Center has created this absolutely free, wonderful tool that, of course, we're going to tell you about employee ownership. But it's also just to get businesses thinking about, who do you want to own your business after you? Do you want it to retain your legacy? How can we help you with that? Maybe you want to, what we really want is for businesses to do that when, let's just say, your business you're not retirement age, you're not ready to leave. You can stay and watch this beautiful thing called employee ownership go and work in your business even harder. So that's what we do.
Very good. Excellent. I love it. How did you become part of the organization?
That's, I've told that story so many times, I'm embarrassed to tell it, but it's really because I was having my knee replaced and I was living in Gainesville and moving to Woodstock and I couldn't drive that distance. And I saw this little advertisement for a launch manager. And I was like, what the heck is a launch manager? So it was just because I didn't know what my knee was facing. So I applied for this part-time job, and my boss, Steve Storkin, who's executive director of EOX, he said, well, this job is about introducing employee ownership. And I said, oh, you mean like ESOPs? I used to have my financial 7 and 63. So I knew what they were, but I'd just sort of forgotten about them. And then I told him the story of my parents' business that they had for 41 years on Beaufort Highway. And not 41 years, 50, but they had 41 employees at one time. And
what business was that?
Atlanta Garden Center.
Oh, of course. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Now you're telling your age that you remember Atlanta Garden Center. So Charlie Bell, my dad, and my mom ran that business, and I grew up in that business. And they had 3 girls, and they were so busy running their business, they didn't think what was going to happen after they were running their business. So at 79, my dad got critically ill, had to let everybody go. There was no business to be had. He was a landscape architect and horticulturist. And sadly, the doors closed. And had they explored employee ownership, that might have been a different story. And I have to throw this in there, Jim. I tell it every time, but I know the same people aren't listening. When my father passed away and we were cleaning out his drawers, now these were smart people. My dad had a double master. He had envelopes of money in his drawer with his key employees' names on it. Literally cash. That was his idea of making sure that they had retirement money. When he could have not paid federal tax on his business, still retain ownership, hired someone, still have a legacy that anybody in Atlanta that grew up around that area knew. Atlanta Garden Center is right next door to the very first Pikes, which, by the way, Pikes is 100% employee owned by virtue of being purchased by a California company that is 100% employee owned. So another interesting Atlanta story. But so I told that story and I said, my dad's legacy was big and everybody knew who he was, and it's completely gone. It's a Oriental marketplace now. I think there's a few apple trees still there, but crepe myrtles. But other than that, that whole huge nursery is gone along with his legacy. So that's why I'm passionate about this work.
Wow, that's a great story.
It's a sad story because now that I look back on it, it wouldn't. Once you would have convinced my parents that they weren't giving up control, that they were still running it, they might have considered that because they knew that a lot of their, they had 2 huge crews of landscape people that, there weren't landscape crews back then. You didn't see them on every corner and whatever. And it was sort of a niche market. And those people traditionally might not have had a way to save. Well, with an employee stock ownership plan, employees don't pay anything into it. The company does on their behalf. So they would have had their retirement. And a lot of employee-owned companies also have a profit-sharing plan. They might not have ever done that, but they would have had the stock ownership plan, which we know now. Very successful companies, many, many people who might not have had 1 penny other than Social Security have millions. And that's another reason why people don't go from Publix to another grocery store. I mean, I suppose if they're crazy or if they go to another employee-owned company, that would make sense. But people just don't leave because they know that money is there. It's not like you have to put a penny in it Your profit sharing plan can move. When you leave the company, your employee stock ownership plan, you roll it over as you wish into an IRA or whatever you want to do with it, cash it out and go fishing. But it's just an amazing, beautiful tool. And that's why Congress created it, was for primarily small businesses to help their employees save for retirement. And it's still working 40-something years later.
Tell us about your work with mentor.org and just the importance of mentoring altogether.
Well, it was interesting. You'd given me some questions to think about. And one of the mentorship appears on a lot of things, a lot of those questions that you gave me to think about, because, well, first of all, children need mentors. They need someone to look up. And many of our children today don't have people to look up to. And if they don't read by the time they're in third grade, they can't catch up. It's very hard. They can't do their math. They can't do science, whatever, if they can't read. It's really the same thing in business. You need someone else. And I will say this, I have many mentors who are way younger than me because they know things that I don't know. It's not an age thing. It's a, I really need to think this through. I'm going to call so-and-so. They don't know one single thing about employee ownership, but they know a lot about how to find whatever it is I'm looking for. So I think if I could get on any soapbox and talk about anything other than employee ownership, it would be find those mentors and use them. And I know you know what I'm talking about because you have mentored and fostered many, many businesses into existence. And you know that that's just when existence is just the start. They have to have help along the way. And so I have worked in the REACH program, which is a statewide Georgia program. My last REACH mentee just graduated last year from high school. He's now a straight A student at Kennesaw. He's doing great. I am currently mentoring a businesswoman who's gone back to University of Georgia, and she's getting her master's. And so that's a different level of mentorship. I've mentored people in the business world, not because I know more than them, but because they can talk to me and they can ask me things and we can talk it through. And just, it's sort of like an old-fashioned friendship, only it's a step further. So one of the most fulfilling things, let me give a plug to a great Atlantan, Malcolm Mitchell. If you know who I'm talking about, he used to play for University of Georgia and then the Patriots, and he got hurt. He started a great children's, it's not exactly a mentor program, called Read with Malcolm. Jim, that is a global nonprofit. And Malcolm Mitchell got to college and could not read and learned to read. I mean, he could sort of read, but not college level. And it was such a passion of him that he began this foundation, Read with Malcolm. Now, the other organization you mentioned, it's called Mentor Georgia. It's the Georgia version of mentor.org, which is a national group. And so Mentor Georgia is housed right there at Fanning Institute and run by a great lady named Leslie Hale in Athens. And they foster mentor programs all across Georgia. So I had the privilege of being involved with them for many years, but I had to give that up this year. It's just one too many things on the plate. But anybody that wants to contact me, I can put you in touch with tons of people who run mentor programs all across Georgia, girls, boys, children, adults, disabilities. We can find you an interest, and I would say get involved. And I would say, the schools get involved with Read with Malcolm. Look it up. It's really great. He's just a great American. So is that you could tell I could go on for another hour about mentoring, but it's terribly important for people. And, when I was a kid, it was my parents. It was a Sunday school teacher, someone I could go and talk to. You should go and find a mentor somewhere. I currently have about 5 that are small, younger than me, but I certainly have some my own age. And it's just so fulfilling. to be one and to have one.
Very well said. Marie, how do we find out more about you, follow you online, find out more about employee ownership, etc.?
Well, they can go to GACEO, which stands for Georgia Center for Employee Ownership.org, and you'll see my smiling face on there. If you click on there, you're not going to get anybody but me. I will contact you and we'll just have a chat. And I'm not selling anything, so you don't have to worry about any of that. We're just going to have a chat. And it might be, you can call me, 404-327-2554. My number's right there on there. Or you can email me at marie@gaceo.org, and I will happily answer you. So do please follow us and send your clients to it. We'll get on the phone with you, and we'll chat about employee ownership.
Marie, thank you so very much. Great information, and we'd love to have you back. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
We are out of time. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe. Bye now.